Hey everyone, this is Emily. Welcome to another episode of Chatter Talk, where we explore real-life struggles and the light at the end of the tunnel. Today we're diving into anxiety and fear, two things that almost everyone deals with but often don't talk about enough. Joining me are my co-hosts, Josh and Priya. Hey guys.
Hi, this is Josh. Hey, Emily. Hey, everyone. I'm really excited and a little nervous to share my story today. This is such an important topic, especially with how much people are going through these days.
Same here, Josh. Anxiety is something I've battled with for years, but it's also something I've learned to manage. I'm so ready to open up and, hopefully, help someone out there who feels alone.
Absolutely. So if you're tuning in and you've been feeling overwhelmed, scared, or even just stuck in your own head, stick around. We've got stories, insights, and hopefully some hope for you. Let's kick it off. Josh, you mentioned before that your anxiety hit you out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. I used to think anxiety was just feeling a little stressed, but man, when it hit me for the first time, it felt like my body was betraying me. It was about 2 years ago. I was driving home from work, and suddenly, out of nowhere, my chest got tight. I felt like I couldn't breathe, my hands were shaking, and I was convinced I was having a heart attack.
Oh my gosh, that sounds terrifying. Did you pull over?
Yeah, I had to. I sat on the side of the road, heart racing, sweating, and completely convinced something was horribly wrong. I even called 911. When I got to the hospital, they ran tests and told me it was a panic attack.
Wow, that's such a classic story with anxiety. It feels so physical that you think it's a medical emergency.
Exactly. I was like, what do you mean it's anxiety? I'm not even stressed. But then I started reflecting and realized that I'd been bottling up so much stuff. Work stress, family pressure, you name it. It was like my body finally said, enough.
It's wild how the body keeps score like that. What helped you get through it?
Honestly, therapy. I found a great therapist who taught me about grounding techniques, like deep breathing and focusing on my senses to stay in the moment. And journaling. Writing down my thoughts helps me figure out what's really going on in my head instead of letting it all spiral.
That's so powerful. And we'll definitely come back to those techniques later. Priya, your story's a little different, right?
Yeah, for me, anxiety showed up in social situations. I always felt like people were watching me, judging me. It started in high school. If I had to give a presentation or even just answer a question in class, I'd feel my face turn red. My throat would close up, and my mind would go blank. It was embarrassing.
That sounds rough. Did you just avoid those situations?
For a long time, I did. I skipped speeches, avoided big social gatherings, even avoided making friends sometimes because I was so scared of looking stupid. But eventually, it started affecting my career. I couldn't keep dodging meetings or avoiding speaking up at work.
So what changed for you?
I started small. I worked with a coach who helped me practice speaking in safe environments. I also learned something called cognitive restructuring. Basically, I'd write down the thought that was scaring me, like, everyone's going to laugh at me, and then challenge it. I'd ask myself, okay, but what's the evidence for that? And what's a kinder way to think about this? Over time, it got easier.
That's such a great technique, challenging those automatic thoughts. I might have to try that.
You totally should. And honestly, mindfulness helped me a lot too. Just learning to sit with uncomfortable feelings instead of trying to escape them.
That's such a big one. Facing the fear instead of running from it. And speaking of fears, I guess it's my turn to share, huh? So my anxiety showed up in a different way. Chronic what-if thoughts. What if I mess up? What if something bad happens to my family? It was like my brain was stuck on a constant loop of worst-case scenarios. I'd stay up late Googling symptoms, convincing myself I had some rare disease, or obsessing over every little mistake I made that day.
Oh wow, that must have been exhausting.
It was. The turning point for me came after I hit rock bottom. I was barely sleeping, snapping at everyone, and crying over the smallest things. I finally went to see a doctor, who diagnosed me with generalized anxiety disorder. She recommended therapy and mindfulness practices.
Did it help?
Yes, but it took time. I had to learn to sit with uncertainty. My therapist introduced me to the idea of letting go of control, Like instead of trying to predict or prevent every bad thing, I started asking myself, what can I actually do right now? That helped me stay grounded.
That's such a good reminder. It's so easy to get caught up in things you can't control.
Exactly. And honestly, gratitude journaling helped too. Writing down 3 things I was thankful for every day shifted my focus away from the negative. It sounds cliché, but it works.
So, what are some of your go-to strategies for managing anxiety now?
For me, mindfulness and grounding exercises are lifesavers. Just focusing on my breath or naming 5 things I can see around me when I feel overwhelmed.
I love that. For me, it's all about movement. Taking a walk, doing yoga, anything that gets me out of my head and into my body.
Same here. And honestly, talking about it helps. For the longest time, I kept my anxiety a secret because I was embarrassed. But opening up to my friends and family made me realize I wasn't alone.
That's so important. Breaking the stigma. Anxiety doesn't make you weak. If anything, it makes you stronger because you're learning to navigate life with a little extra weight.
Yes. And for anyone listening, just remember, healing is a journey. It's okay to have bad days. What matters is that you keep showing up for yourself. All right, that's a wrap on today's episode. If you're struggling with anxiety or fear, know that you're not alone, and there are tools and resources out there to help. Thanks for tuning in to Chatter Talks. And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear it.
Take care, everyone. And remember, every step forward, no matter how small, is progress.
Stay strong, and we'll see you next time.